Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight. Today is day 19 of my series DIY or Die, where we make a Halloween inspired DIY project every day in the month of October. If you're new here, welcome. You have a lot of videos to catch up on and I hope you enjoy them. And if you've been following along this series the whole time, I appreciate you so much. I see it and I'm just glad that you guys are having as much fun as I am. And that brings me to some very important people, because when I first started this project back in August, I reached out to a few friends and I said, hey, if you could have any DIY, handmade Halloween decor, what would it be? And I didn't tell them why, but I needed some extra ideas to fill up my calendar. I had 30-ish ideas, but I wanted to make sure that I was checking all of my boxes and making stuff that other people would enjoy, and it wasn't just things that were rattling around in my brain. So one of my friends came back with anything cute ghost. And I said, I've already got that covered. Here's some videos, enjoy them, make them. I hope you have a great time. Another friend came back with, my ideal Halloween decor would be a raven that just sits on my shoulder and stares at people. And while I love that for her, that's not necessarily something that I can make, especially the live raven part. But one of my closest, dearest friends came back with, the only thing that's really coming to mind is a pumpkin with mice coming out of it. And B, you have cheered me on this entire time. You've messaged me constantly about the content. You've made me feel so good and confident about this entire project. So you know what? I got you. We have a pumpkin hotel, a pumpkin apartment for our little mice. We've got 3 pumpkins, 5 mice, lots of tiny decor. And B, this whole video, this is for you. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's dive into this craft project. Okay, so for this project, you're gonna need some craft store pumpkins. These are literally new with tags, but we got them at the thrift store for $2.99. So always check your thrift store for these. I swear they are always there. Even in the summertime, I can find these guys at the thrift store. This one's a little beat up, but it doesn't matter because we're going to be chopping it up quite a bit. This was also $2.99. This one seems to be a little bit older, but we have the 3 and we're gonna make a mouse apartment by stacking them like this. And then for our mice, we have these cute little felted guys. These are from Amazon. I went into a rabbit hole trying to figure out how to get these for cheaper, whether I should just go ahead and try and learn how to felt mice myself. But I used a Amazon rewards points situation and just got these. So we have a mummy, we have a little bat with a pumpkin and a spider, this cute one who has a mouth mustache, and then we have 2 little witch characters. In addition, when Michael's was having a sale, I went and got a bunch of miniatures that we can decorate our house with. And then we're just going to use scrapbook paper and all kinds of random tidbits that I will show you to build out these little houses. And we're basically making a tiny Halloween mouse dollhouse. And I think it should be really cute. Something else I'll link down below is this hot tool. This cuts through these like butter. It's an X-Acto knife that heats up. And oh my gosh, if you want craft pumpkin projects to go 10,000 times smoother, you want this guy. However, it's important to note that burning this smells terrible. You don't want to breathe it in. So wear a proper face mask. I'm going to take these outside and cut them there where I'm not going to have to deal with this stinking up my house. Okay, so we are back inside, and I'm holding on to these because I might reuse them for something in a minute. I know that sounds insane, but I need to make little tables and stuff, and I'm thinking these offcuts, while a little bit rounded, might do the trick if we cover them like they have a little tablecloth on them. But obviously, this isn't cute. I had no intention of, I thought all of these would be like this, like that cut. So nice. I'm still gonna clean it up, but holy cow, yikes, that's a lot of foam. So I have this twine that I've had in my stash for a very long time, and I am just going to start from the outside, like a decent ways outside, because I want to cover all of this up, and we're just gonna line this, and then it's gonna look cute. Okay, so I kind of want to stop here because I like the width of this, but obviously we still have all of this ugliness, and there's just no way to, like, I don't know. I'm wondering if I could trim that down a little bit, but I'm also wondering what it would look like if, also we're gonna tuck that end up and under using a toothpick, and then we'll clean up all these glue hairs because we don't want those. But what if we added like a line of brown felt? This would probably be better if it were not the stiff felt, but that's all I've got right now in this color. So we're gonna go kind of zigzag our glue this time because I want to only do one pass, unlike with the twine. And this is the top, so I'm putting it up there because it'll be the least noticeable. And then I'm just gonna push this into that edge. And if we need to add one more layer or one more round of the twine to cover up this edge, we can totally do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you this as I, like, because once my hands are in here, you're not gonna be able to see. I'm folding the felt back and then putting a line of glue and then pushing it over to like get it out of the way and create that seam. So that's what I'm gonna do all the way around. We fold it, we glue it, we stick it down. We have finished up our pumpkins. This took a lot longer than I thought it would, this like first step. So I just went ahead and did these off camera. Same thing, we just wrapped the fronts with twine because I wanted those to look a little more clean. So now we're going to start adding some walls and some floors and get these looking like little rooms for our cute little mice. All right, if you can see from this aftermath, we've been through some iterations of trying to figure out how to clean the inside of this up. And it was a lot. There's a lot of deleted footage. And what ended up working, I kid you not, is my coffee cup from my Saturday morning coffee. So we're going to use this. It wedges in here perfectly, and then we have clean sides. So I'm going to cut my cup open. Again, I understand this sounds insane. I rinsed it out. I put my coffee in another cup. This cup fits down in the bottom, and then we can basically widen it a little bit, and then that's our new walls. And it looks so much better than it did just trying to do it with just like with no backing basically. So now I'm gonna wallpaper the inside of my coffee cup. Okay, so this was the piece of wallpaper that I was trying to use a minute ago, and it still pretty much fits. Can we go that way and then trim? Yeah. So we're going to glue this in here, and then I'll trim around the top because that was the bottom and it just wasn't working. So we'll hot glue here. Start at one side and then work to the other. Just go flat. So that's the bottom. We're gonna fold this up, shove that back in. I'm gonna go ahead and, because we're working with such a rounded surface, I'm gonna fold along the line where it looks messy. And then we can glue this down and we'll get like kind of a seamless area there. That worked. Who would have thought? But there's the inside of our pumpkin. And now we just need to cut a piece of felt. This one isn't gonna work, unfortunately, but we can use it for something else, I'm sure. I'm just gonna cut, how big was this one? Something a little bit bigger than this. The problem is that it's not circular down there. It's not like, we don't have a perfect shape. So you kind of just have to go bigger than you think and then trim. Okay, so in the end, I kind of just had to create something that would fit and fill that space. But I'm gonna cover it up a little bit because I have this offcut from when we did the outline of our pumpkin, and I thought it would be cute. I'm just gonna take a Sharpie and make a welcome mat. And we have a little welcome mat, and I think that's really cute. So now we could have like our little mummy in here hanging out. Granted, these mice are a little big for this project, but that's what I could find, and I still think it's cute. I think they're gonna be fun. Okay, so working on the white pumpkin now, I want to use this as our floor, and you can see this circle. Basically, I traced our pumpkin onto here using my pencil down around the base of the pumpkin because it curves in, so we want our pencil to go in at an angle, and then you're going to curve around, and then we also want to cut out this for our little ladder porthole that we cut out earlier. So, see how chaotic that is? We can erase it. And you want to do this on the correct side of the paper because we're not working with a perfect shape. So while you can see all of those drawing lines, it ends up being that this now perfectly slots in. If we had done it on the back side, everything is in reverse. So that is why we did that. And then, so now we have a wonderful little floor in this pumpkin. So we can glue this down now. And I'm fully aware these circles, not circles, but our pumpkin isn't a perfect circle in the base of it either. One of the sides, this side is like kind of flat. So just work with the shape of the pumpkin that you have. Okay, so the concept of wallpapering these works on the smaller pumpkins in the way that I thought it would on the big one. So you cut a rectangle, and I don't want to block our windows, so I'm just wallpapering from here to here. And then we're going to do something cute on the windows, but when you're looking in, you can't see this part of the pumpkin anyway. So I think that's okay. And then we'll still get the light. But basically, you just roll up your paper and then put it in here, and it wraps the pumpkin. And then this one's still a little bit long. It's covering this window, so I'll trim one more of these segments off because that's about the same width as our window. And I thought these would be cute where I could cut some of these out like postage stamps and put them in other rooms as like a painting on the wall. So again, we're gonna roll this up and we're just going to put that in the back. And it looks so good. And then we can, I mean, honestly, it wedges in place super well, but I am gonna go ahead and put a bead of glue right along this edge. Working inside the pumpkin, it can be a little challenging. I'll give you that. Pull this over, and we're gonna line that right up with our window. And then we do have this down here, and I'm working on coming up with a way to solve like trim problems. We need some mouse baseboards basically. But at the end of the day, like, I think that's a really cute look. So I went ahead and did the same thing on the floor in the upper one. And now we just need to pick a wallpaper for this room. Well, we could also match the bottom, because we've already cut this one up. And I have this piece. Oh, that's almost, maybe we do that and then we don't cut up any more paper. But that was almost perfect. So I'm just gonna cut a little longer than that one. And again, we roll it up and then go inside. If at any point you thought I was joking about adding baseboards, you would in fact be incorrect, because we don't joke about trim on this channel. We are very serious about trimming up and finishing our projects. We're gonna add a little bit of glue. We'll just do this all at once, and that way the glue is on the inside. And we don't have to stick the glue gun into the pumpkin, because that is rather challenging. So go in and then just push around the base, securing it in place. Okay, and there is that finished one. Now we have our little rug, and now we can put some stuff on the walls. So first though, I need to go outside and find a stick. And I'll explain why in just a minute. Okay, so we have some sticks from the yard, and I thought that would be a cute way to trim up our windows. So I'm just gonna go and break using my fingers, because like I want it to be kind of like rustic looking. So at this point, all of our windows are built, and I'm also gonna go through and just make our little ladders out of these sticks. And I'm gonna try and get some of that gone, because I think having these little natural wood ladders in the backgrounds is gonna be really cute. We have one for the white pumpkin and then one for the crazy pumpkin, as I have started calling it. And we're just going to make rungs, breaking these sticks apart in equal lengths. Guys, this is so weird to film because like the opening is not huge. So I'm trying to show you all the little details of all the cute stuff I'm doing, and it's just, okay, so let's do a little miniatures tour. I bought a bunch of these. You could very easily make these, but I have some little books, And I have this cute little pumpkin bench that I think I'll make a platform for this and set it right outside of here and maybe have one of the mice standing next to it. I have too many mice to fit in these pumpkins, so that is part of our problem. And then I have a little candelabra that's really cute. All right, and then we have some little bottles that will go on a shelf. I have a chandelier that I want to hang in one of them, perhaps the top one because it's the only one that doesn't have a hole in it. So I think that's gonna have to go up there. A little phonograph. These were all like way discounted or I would not have bought these. And then we have this lovely lady who needs to go on some kind of table. So yeah, let's start doing that. All right, so I'm gonna start with our wall shelves and I'm just going to use the cardboard that the mice came in. I've been using this a little bit on this project. And I'm just gonna cut some shelves. And it doesn't have too bad of a corrugation look. I think it's just gonna look like wood. I could outline them, but that's, okay, I'm going to do that. So now in here, I think I said they need to go on this side. I think that still stands because I want him here. Yeah, cozy there. So then shelf. A book. The books can go there. And then the top shelf, I can put another. This cork got pushed all the way in, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna be kind of hard to see either way. So another little vial. I'm gonna see if this even will hold. I don't know. So there's a crevice in here that I'm shoving this into. And I think between that going in to that gap where the stem is and the glue, it will in fact, it's gonna hold. And you're not gonna get a good view of it until I can film looking in the pumpkin, but that's really stinking cute. This one, so we have the phonograph, we have the candelabra, we have 2 more bottles, and we have this lady. And I want this lady to go on a table. So we have this offcut of the pumpkin that was, this is the hole out of the white pumpkin in the floor. And I'm thinking I can round this up a little bit using my X-Acto knife. Just the top. Okay. And then I can use some toothpicks as legs. So I'm gonna trim these down. Our pumpkin's done. And then I went ahead and I have these battery operated tea lights that work with a remote, and I lined everything up so that this one fits here. And then similarly, this one fits in the top of the white pumpkin. And then I hid one under the phonograph table. And that one's not glued in, it's just kind of under there. to light up this room. We can see it lights, and this one, like, they do flicker like a candle, but I think that's kind of cool. This one you couldn't do one on the ceiling because it hangs down and interferes with the chandelier, and we don't want to mess with the chandelier. So we have that going. Okay, so I have this little tray that is left over from our wedding, and I think I'm gonna construct our scene sitting in this tray, and then we can clean it up after the holiday and just store this. So that's kind of my thought process. So let's glue together our pumpkins first. I have the big glue gun out because this project was necessitating a little extra power. So I'm gonna put a bead of glue around here, and then I'm gonna have to push you out of the way because I think this one on top of that, and now our little apartment building is built. But you can see, you can't see, but you can definitely see where these are connected. So I'm taking the same twine while the glue is hot and just stringing it through to fill those gaps. I'm gonna put some brown moss down around the pumpkin. That'll add a little stability as well. And then we can do a mixture of this green moss, which I don't have that much of. I pulled this actually out of a potted orchid that has since perished. Oh, we might have just enough to fill this tray, which would be great. There's a little piece over here, and I can scoop the rest of this up and add it. But then we have our little bench to sit out front. We'll clean this up too. We'll make sure we have a clean edge. And we have a little witch. And then we have the pumpkin guy who can stand back here. Nestle them down enough that they'll stand up. Cool. And then I thought it'd be cute. I just grabbed some little like flat stones from our landscaping. I thought 3, but 2 is about all that we can fit. Little pathway up. And then it lights up. Well, this was a fun one, and I was so excited to make a project specifically with one of my friends in mind. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow for day 20.